Hey, what's happening? It is Smooth Tim and Larry E. And thank you all for joining us on another hump day on Tim's Tidbits. You got a nice smile on your face. What's so good, Larry?
I guess it's not super hot today.
Actually, it's a halfway decent
My new
day down in
location,
Texas.
yeah, it's halfway decent for right now. We'll see though. It's still early.
And we started out, what is today? This morning was 62 degrees this morning.
Ooh, that's not bad.
And Midwest is starting to, upper Midwest rather, starting to cool down just a little bit. Still, man, we still got a little bit of summer left, so I'm not going to count our chickens before they're hatched. I'm ready for fall. I'm ready for a little bit cooler weather.
Yeah. Why not? Had everything else.
Well, we're wrapping around to fall, and actually, when fall comes, is when here, the end of this month here, September, supposed to have a fiscal budget for the United States to operate on, and I guess they still can't figure that out, right?
Stupid.
Well, I don't know if they're necessarily stupid. I think they just actually have other agendas in mind, and let's check it out, and we'll get back and talk about the government that just can't get themselves together.
We're going to bring in the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland, who doesn't want to talk about any of that.
No.
He was a manager for Donald Trump's second impeachment following the January 6th insurrection, is now one of the core group of Democrats defending President Biden and his administration against Republican investigations. And Congressman, thanks so much for being with us. How fascinating that you've got a Congress, a House, who's not doing anything. Not even the Republicans can't even agree on keeping the government open, and yet they're launching investigations where they've admitted they don't have the goods on Joe Biden.
Right. And these things are not coincidences, Joe. Donald Trump is calling the shots across the board. He thinks he can shut down his indictments and the work of the special counsel and the Department of Justice and the federal courts by getting Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and three other members of the MAGA caucus to derail the House and shut down the government of the United States. He's badly mistaken because the Attorney General, Jack Smith, the prosecutors are funded by a continuing indefinite appropriation to the Department of Justice, and they're exempted because the Attorney General is a presidential appointee, and the federal courts themselves are open for business for criminal trials because they relate to the protection of life, property, and public safety. So he's going to shut down all the rest of the U.S. government in order to blockade his prosecutions, but it's not even going to work. And Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, who wants to run for governor of Florida, according to all the Republicans I serve with, should figure out right now that they're just going to end their political careers by shutting down the government for no reason. They should tell Donald Trump his plan is not going to work. He perceived that some of the right-wing extremists would try to do this. And so we just need to stick to the agreement. Now, of course, McCarthy doesn't want to stick to the agreement because if he gets Democratic votes in order to pass it, then the entire MAGA caucus says if he does anything with Democratic votes, they're going to overthrow him. When we got back to Congress at the beginning of this week, it's hard to believe it was just 4 days ago. They had three objectives. One, shut down the government of the United States. Two, impeach Joe Biden. And three, overthrow McCarthy. And right now, MAGA is moving down each of those tracks. And I would at least hope that Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and the handful of others would understand they are not going to be able to shut down the prosecutions and the trials of Donald Trump by doing this. It will not work. They are fully appropriated by continuing indefinite appropriations or multi-year appropriations or no-year appropriations. Donald Trump believes that. He tweeted it out yesterday that this would shut down his investigations and the prosecutions. It will not work. And somebody needs to get that through that brain of his.
Yeah.
So what is this? What is this shutting down the government? What is this actually?
Well, basically, what they'll do is everybody will be on furlough until they get money in the budget to pay people. And the only money that's actually truly appropriated, as you heard him talk about, was military pay. That's the only thing that's not bound by that. So, and government pay, as far as, like you said, the federal courts and things like that.
Yeah, but what does Trump have to do with it? They were saying that
he's trying to divert all this action against him. I mean, my God, he's in New York court. He's down in Georgia court. He's all over the place. You know, they indicted him on fraud. Just was that on Tuesday? I think on Tuesday he got indicted on fraud because of his overinflation of his business assets, and so he could get better loans.
So they're basically saying the government it revolves around Trump's actions.
Right. Everything's right now revolving around his actions because he's the number one candidate for the Republican Party.
So then they're trying to impeach Biden. I've never heard the word impeachment used so much in the history of the presidency of the United States.
And it's ridiculous.
Was it one impeachment, Nixon?
Yeah. Yeah, actually Nixon, that was with the Watergate scandal.
Yeah, he quit, didn't he? Yeah, he never got impeached.
No, he never did get impeached.
But I've never seen anything like this, man. This is ridiculous. Like impeachment is like it's part of the United States vocabulary now.
The new protocol for the president. You're gonna be impeached.
Yeah, it's like impeachment. I'm like, if they don't like you, you give you a year. If you fall down, or you too quiet, or you're tweeting too much, impeach him. Teacher, I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Well, and they're focused on all the wrong things. Now, what they want to impeach Biden, and they really don't have enough.
But why?
Evidence because they impeached Trump, so it's tit for tat.
Okay, now real quick, when you get impeached as a president, don't they kick you out of office?
Right, and then your vice president would move into your position.
But Trump never got impeached. His term was up, wasn't
he? They tried to impeach him twice. And that didn't go through. So yeah, and then he ended his term as presidency. And then he was beaten in the election by Biden. No matter what he tries to say, yes, you lost.
Ooh, it's getting so damn political. When did politics become so political? That's what I want to know.
I think it gets even worse now that we have. It's the huge increase that I've noticed, Larry, is now that we have social media. You have so many avenues for people to spread out information, and it's important. And it's important for you to discern, fact from truth. That's kind of why we're showing what we're showing. So I'm not leaning one way and or the other. I'm just saying, here's the stuff that's out there, and you need to discern for yourself. What are you going to do about it?
It's crazy, man. I'm like, shut down a government because of an individual or a small group of individuals.
That's very selfish. Yeah, when you've got,
very small group. I think how many members in the House of Representatives? Was it 100, 200, something like that?
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what the number is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very small percentage. And the Senate is probably even, I think the House is larger. The federal courts, it's like, 12 of them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 12 judges.
Yeah, then you have the House, you got the Senate, then you have the smaller sections. So it's a very small percentage of people with all this power for no apparent reason, but they send all the money to Ukraine to fund the war, but you can't figure out how to allocate funds within the United States. Stupid. That's why I say it's stupid.
And that's some of the debate, too, is some of that Republican caucus, that Freedom Caucus, the insane clown posse, whatever you want to call those group of idiots. That's part of their problem. And I understand, stop sending all this money to Ukraine when we do have, vested interest in the United States that we need to take care of. We have our own things, going wrong.
Easy, man.
I understand that perspective. But, then again, you're taking the wrong road to it when you're affecting millions and millions of people over, I want to control the government by impeach Biden, and if you don't do it, I'm going to take McCarthy out of the Speaker of the House, all this other BS. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's why I say real stupid. It's petty, it's childish, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
Speaking of people that should be ashamed of themselves, check this out.
Well, Lauren, the charges here are just nothing short of shocking. Bribery, corruption, using his office to influence criminal investigations, sending sensitive government information to foreign nationals. In the U.S. Attorney's telling, the Senator Robert Menendez put his office, put his influence up for sale, and he found many willing takers who made him rich.
What the feds found when they searched Menendez's New Jersey home was shocking.
gold bars they were able to trace back to New Jersey business people, drawers and clothes stuffed with nearly $500,000 in cash with fingerprints on the envelopes that were identified as those of a New Jersey businessman and his driver. A luxury car parked at the home was traced back to another New Jersey businessman and bought, according to the U.S. attorney, with bribe money.
The indictment alleges that through that relationship, the senator and his wife accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars of bribes in exchange for Senator Menendez using his power and influence to protect and to enrich those businessmen and to benefit the government of Egypt.
The indictment alleges, among other things, that Menendez used his office as a U.S. senator to illegally influence a federal contract to sell halal meat from the United States to Egypt. The indictment says Menendez sent his then-girlfriend sensitive information about employees at the U.S. Embassy in Cairo, and that she passed that information on to Egyptian nationals. The indictment names 2 businessmen from New Jersey and the senator's now wife, Nadine, as being involved in the conspiracy.
They discovered approximately $500,000 of cash stuffed into envelopes and closets. Some of the cash was stuffed in the senator's jacket pockets. And some of the envelopes of cash contained Davies' fingerprints or Davies' DNA. That's not all. Agents also discovered a lot of gold that was provided by Davies and Hannah. And the FBI, of course, found the Mercedes-Benz that Uribe had provided them.
Menendez.
So, yeah, you got even dirty Democrats there, Larry. Can't trust a one of them.
I've never seen a broke politician. I'm like, all of them do it. He just got caught.
Oh, yeah, he got busted. And that's not the first time that he's been investigated for that type of a crime. A few years back, he was also investigated for the same thing. Not the same individuals, but the same bribery charges, and they just didn't have enough to do anything about it, so the case was dropped. This is not the first time.
Is it a crime to take bribes?
It's the first time. Is it a crime to take bribes? I don't know, Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Is that a real crime? Who is it a crime to? Crime to the people?
Well, when you have let's say that you have you're a politician in Washington, D.C., and you have a person from a special interest group approaching you and saying, hey, we would really like this to get pushed so we can this into legislation so we can get this passed. And by the way, Larry, here's a stack of $500,000 to help you get it done.
What about when people contribute money to campaigns and stuff like that? What about the boosters and all these other people? Is that a bribe? Is that a contribution?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. If you look at the campaign fund, now when they talk to campaign funds, there's a cap on how much you can give.
It's the same to me.
But now when you go into these various super PACs, that are funding candidates, there's no real accountability for how much anybody's giving. So Tim could give $1 and Larry could give $3 million if he wanted to.
So he couldn't say that it wasn't part of his campaign fund or part of a charity that he was.
Who knows what
he just wasn't smart. He was playing stupid because I would have created some kind of charity or some kind of way for a smoke screen and say this money is going towards my charity, it's a donation to my charity or something.
Well, yeah. I mean, what did they say? Out of the stack of $500,000, that these New Jersey guys' fingerprints are all over the money and all over the gold and.
Plain stupid. He couldn't put it in the bank because then it'd have been obvious. So
yeah, he left a hell of a paper trail.
That's plain stupid. That's another stupid thing. These guys are supposed to be. These men and women are supposed to be so smart. And then he said he sent information to his girlfriend in Egypt with his wife. He's supposed to.
Yeah, did you see that young piece of? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure. She's interested because he is so handsome and so well physiqued.
Money talks, man. It's like this is politics. Like I said, I've never seen a broke politician. I'm pretty sure all of them do that. They just haven't gotten caught.
I'm sure there are a lot of them.
Trump has done it openly.
And now he's getting his butt in trouble. We'll see what happens with that. That's going to be real interesting. Like I said, when you overinflate, and it was interesting what they were talking about in that regards.
That was a clean car, though.
Well, they were talking about as a for instance, he would say that Trump Tower in New York, his penthouse was worth $500 million, when the actual value of it's only $250 million. And he would say that the value of Mar-a-Lago is like $100 million, when the actual value of it's only $50 million. So he was like superly overly inflating of his assets.
But why? Just to get tax write-offs?
No, to get better loan rates. So you're defrauding the bank. So what you're lying, you're saying I've got all this type of stuff. So instead of lending me money at a 6% rate, lend it to me at a 3% rate because I've got all this collateral. So you lied. That's you see the bank fraud.
Yeah, but then can't they just appraise it? Well, everybody does that. Who doesn't do that? Everybody lie on their resumes and everything.
Well, but he just happened to get caught. So I guess.
Oh, Trump is there. No, anything they indicted Trump on is accurate. I'm like, they just not getting to it. It should have been happened. So I don't feel sorry for him. It is what it is. He put himself out there like that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Republican Party
all of them should get that smoke.
Tripping. Republican Party's tripping. Speaking of the Republican Party tripping, I ran across this one. This one's really gonna flip you out.
This idea of a book ban in Florida, that somehow they don't want books in the library, that's a hoax.
No one is looking to ban books. The Moms for Liberty certainly isn't.
We're not telling other parents how to raise their children.
No, this is opening up the schools to the parents.
It is simply a lie to say these books are being banned.
Yes, you've heard Ron DeSantis and others blast the leftist media for claiming Republicans want to ban woke books from classrooms and libraries, even as the DeSantis administration quietly released a report online last month acknowledging the roughly 300 books removed by Florida school districts since Republicans passed multiple laws enabling their removal. That's the party line in multiple red states. We're not banning books, we're just removing woke content. This is no authoritarian attempt to stifle free expression. That may be news to at least 160 teachers and school staff across the country who the Washington Post says have been fired or forced to resign for the lessons they taught in the past 2 academic years. A trend that continued last week when an 8th grade teacher in Houston, Texas, was fired for assigning her students a graphic novelization of the Diary of Anne Frank. Yes, the Anne Frank who was killed by the Nazis along with her Jewish family in the Holocaust. Okay, so maybe certain books are being banned, but it's not like Republicans are going around burning books, are they?
Let's go, Brandon!
Oh, okay, so that's 2 Republican state senators in Missouri with flamethrowers in a video that went viral this week. But as one of the senators, Republican gubernatorial candidate Bill Eigel told the Kansas City Star, he was only figuratively burning books. He wasn't literally burning them. Well, not yet. Quote, in the video, I am taking a flamethrower to cardboard boxes representing what I'm going to do to the leftist policies and rhino corruption of the Jefferson City swamp. He then added, quote, let's be clear. You bring those woke pornographic books to Missouri schools to try to brainwash our kids, and I'll burn those too on the front lawn of the governor's mansion.
Let's say you take these books out of the library. What are you going to do with them? You going to put them in the street? Light them on fire? Where are they going?
Representative Sexton.
I don't have a clue, but I would burn them.
Yeah, that sounds about right, huh?
You know what kills me though, bro?
What's that?
Okay, because we talking about books, talking about the woke. What I don't understand is the books that they use to brainwash us with. No, brainwashing. What about the books we learn in, even in college when it comes to U.S. history?
Yeah, our history books. Yeah,
our history. We come to all that crap. What about the Bible? Bible was another thing they used to brainwash people with. The only real thing that I know that you cannot argue is math. Math is math. A math book is math. Math is universal. Everything else is trivial, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. It could be argued. It can be proven by science or by but straight up arguments. It can be counter positive or positive. It can be some way to disprove the evidence of any book you write with the law, everything. So if you're gonna do that, disregard, burn all of it. You can't just burn woke content. And the thing with the Nazi Anne Frank thing, maybe the 8th grade, it could be a little bit too explicit. I can see not putting that in there, of course.
Oh, come on, Larry. But wait. Explain that to me, how Anne Frank is a bad book.
No, I'm not saying Anne Frank is a bad book. I'm saying I never read it. I never read the book, but from what they're talking about, the the way the Jews were treated, the way they were killed. I don't think there's anything you should put on an eighth grade's mind when it comes to the explicit part of it. Now the story is a story, but if you're going to find details, I don't think that's necessary in the book. Now, even if you talk about slavery, I don't think you should put every aspect of slavery in a book for a kid when they're in school like that when they're younger, eighth grade, like the hangings and all that
No,
crap.
but let me interrupt you. But they're allowed to interject that it was actually a benefit to the slave because he learned a trade.
No,
It's
that's
okay
wrong.
to insert
No,
that bullshit in there.
no, that's wrong. I'm saying even with the history books they gave us, which was crap, they never got to the fine. They talked about the Indians, they talked about the Christopher Columbus, how everybody was in unity, which they didn't tell the real story.
You
You
know,
see what I'm
we
saying?
really didn't get into it. I have to admit that you're correct. That we really never did in school dove into the history of slavery in the United States.
Yeah, and
You
it's
kind of
it's
like,
it's it's it's, it's ugly. Even the history of Native Americans in the United States is the real history is ugly because there's a lot of death, it's a lot of thievery, there's a lot of bad stuff going on, and I think that should be taught, but not taught to where it's so explicit, where it's damn it's doing more than not brainwashing the kid. It's kind of the explicitity of everything was just too horrible that you should have in a school like that. You should teach them that, but I don't think you should teach them all the fine details. That's something they got to pick up down the line. That's what parents should be telling them. Like if somebody come in, hey, what happened with slavery? Okay, I think the parents should tell them, break down how they killed slaves and hung them. But even in school, yeah, you should teach how slavery occurred. Teach them who the first slaves were. Teach them how they took over the Native Americans and how they took over the Mexican land in Texas. You should teach all that stuff, but I don't think you should get explicit with it. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, if you want to, they call it a Holocaust because they put Jews in concentration camps
They
and,
burned
and,
them. It was
and burned them
horrible.
up, killed them. But what is the difference between what they did to the indigenous people of the United States when they went into their villages and just shot them up? And
No, it's the same. But do you think they should teach that in school? All of it?
yeah, the real ugly part of it. Why don't they?
No, no, no. You should teach. No, it's ugly, period. But I'm like, I don't think they should teach like how they burnt them and how they had them in concentration camps and how they hung slaves and how they took the Indians buffalo and diseased them and that's how they feed the Indians by killing the buffalo. So I think you should teach certain aspects of it, but you should teach all culture when it comes to schools. Don't
Oh
just
yeah,
teach
because it doesn't
American.
just stop there. Look what we did to the Asian people during World War II. Threw them in concentration camps.
Everything should
Sorry,
be
your
taught,
eyes aren't right, so you're going into a concentration camp.
right?
But I'm an American.
Same.
I don't care. You got those slanty eyes. You're going into. What the hell is that?
That part they should teach, not the part where how they burnt people up. I think that's sad. It's sad and it's scary, and a lot of kids can't handle that. And
All
they
of
say
it is.
brainwashing them. How you brainwash them when you already brainwashing all this other crap? If you ain't teaching math and economics and teaching the better parts of law, then everything else is irrelevant because history is his story. So he's going to tell his story. He's not going to tell the real part of what really happened. Okay, even you can get a black person compared to white person, Hispanic person. They're not going to tell both parts of the story. They're going to tell their part. Am I right or wrong?
No, you're right.
Mostly their part. I'm not going to sit here and say that if I had the opportunity, I would teach both parts of sides of the story to how it should better this person. I'm going to tell the black side mainly because I am a brother and I experience what I experienced as a brother and what my people experienced
Let me
and what
ask you
I've
a
seen.
question, Larry. So if I'm only teaching a part of the story, right?
Hmm.
Okay. I'm only teaching a fraction of this story. So now what is the difference? Is that not brainwashing if I'm only teaching you what I want you to know about that side of the story, what I want you to know about the slavery, what I want you to know about what we did to the indigenous people of the United States, what we've
I,
done
I,
to
I
the...
think I think it's stages. I think if you teach it, you don't teach them everything all at once because it's some very dark points, very horrible points. You should teach them as like 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, then go to college. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
So as they get older, they mature more, then you can teach them a little bit more of the explicit part. But in 8th grade, I want to teach them about the Holocaust. I want to teach them about how they killed the people you know, how horrible it was. I warm them up with that. You know, it's just kind of like math. You know, you start 1+1.
And math
You
is
go to
indisputable. I have to agree with you.
yeah,
The only
yeah.
thing that's
Well,
probably
no,
worth
I'm saying
teaching is math. And then they have to
I'm
show
saying
you a
with
new way
math,
to
you
do
don't
that
start.
too, right?
Yeah, you don't start teaching kids calculus in kindergarten. You start out with the 1, 2, 3s. Am I right? And then you warm them up and build up to it. Same thing with history, all parts of history. You got to build up to that because it was hard. It's horrible.
Yeah, there's a lot of it that we don't want them to even have to know that we were that stupid, that terrible.
And like I say, Tim, I don't think you should. If you teach one history, you should teach it all. But I don't think you should teach in all the explicit parts because I will back them up on this. They never, with American history, they never got real explicit with it. They told us all the friendly stuff about history, which wasn't everything. It was somewhat true, but they never got deep into it. They never told us what really happened. So even now with Black history, I don't really tell my daughter what really happens because she is 12. So I'm waiting and I'm gonna give her bits and pieces as she get older because I don't want her to just start develop her personality and start thinking like, well,
start getting a complex and shit.
Yeah, I want to start getting racist towards other kids. I'm like, no, I'm gonna tell you, I want you to learn and experience people, and then you build your own philosophy and way of thinking when it comes to dealing with people. So I give her bits and pieces of it.
You know, hey, let's move on to something really interesting. And, you know, we've talked about this too before, and this is Hunter's laptop, right?
Ooh.
Hunter's laptop. Well, and how Giuliani got his hands on it. Well, it seems that now Giuliani might be in a little bit of trouble because Hunter's suing him.
To us. We're now learning that Hunter Biden is suing former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, as well as Giuliani's former attorney, Robert Costello, alleging violations of computer fraud and data access. The new lawsuit claims that Hunter's data was manipulated, altered, and damaged prior to it being sent to Costello and Giuliani, and that the pair were involved in the illegal hacking and tampering of the devices. The lawsuit says in a footnote that the suit does not constitute an admission by Hunter Biden. NBC News is in the process of reaching out to Giuliani and Costello for comment. The suit is seeking over $75,000 in damages and attorney's fees.
What do you think?
Oh, just $75,000? They can pay that.
Yeah, that's peanuts. But I think it's the point he's trying to make is that while that laptop was out of his immediate control and in that repair shop for, what, a year or two, why he left it there so long as he ought to kick himself in the ass. But he's saying he's not responsible for the way that data was manipulated and or edited and or disseminated out as for whatever purposes that Giuliani and his other people did.
Yeah, but you start talking about edited, so you can all kinds of stuff can happen. So you gotta.
Yeah, it's a digital world, so there's a lot you can do to that. He may have a valid point, or he may just be blowing smoke to try to delay everything. But either way, yeah, I mean, why not?
I'd say it could be truth in both sides. He probably did something wrong, and then they probably did edit it. So I believe.
Well, let's get it real. I mean, we already know that there was like pictures of him naked and shit on there because that's been distributed around. Big deal. Who doesn't? I mean,
yeah, who does? Yeah, I got a picture right now with me doing
doing all kinds of weird shit. Not yet.
Yeah.
No, don't show it.
Okay,
yet.
don't show mine.
Don't show
Okay.
it yet. No. And anyway, yeah. I mean, that date on there, the communications back and forth with the people in Ukraine and other things. Yeah. So who knows?
I'm like this, Tim.
But I think Giuliani is just an idiot.
Just reaching for something. Hey, Tim, they're politicians. So that's what their job is. Their job is to connect with other politicians around the world. That's the whole point of being a politician, especially when you're that higher up. You're going to have connections outside of the United States. So that's a given. It's just how it goes.
I think it's kind of funny, though, what you can get away with, The
other ones are getting caught. Imagine the ones that's not getting caught, what they're doing, how rich they're getting. Imagine what they're doing.
But I hate the way they divert that stuff. Well, the whole thing is I see it as a big diversion tactic. You can't really get much on Biden. So, let's try to impeach him. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? We might be able to do this. Well, I tell you what, let's attack Hunter. We'll attack his family and start making it look bad. And maybe we can create a correlation between Hunter and Joe in this business dealing. They're just grasping for straws.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for any family to have everybody that's going to be squeaky clean. I don't care who you are. I think who was it, Prince Albert and them? Didn't they have some issues? When he like rubbing on some goat balls or something like that, and then got busted doing that.
I don't know. I mean, even if you talk about the royal family, they've had their scandals of people doing stupid stuff. No. You're not dealing with every family has its village idiot.
Yeah, you start dealing with politics, especially American politics. All these handouts and kickbacks and bribes and right wing, left wing, the liberals, the conservatives, the Republicans, the Democrats. There's money flying everywhere. Everybody's trying to get a piece of the pie, piece of that cake.
That's what it's about. And there's some things that you can get away with, depending on who you are and where you're at, and some things you can't. This may be a scandal for some, and others they may say, wow, that's just super fantastic. Check this out. All I want to know is who can get away with that.
I'm like, he just autographed her arm and her shirt.
Honored. You think? Now wait a minute, Aaron.
I did try and fuck her. She was married.
What?
I did try and fuck her. She was married.
Donald, stop it.
That's the same one that he said that about?
No. That's totally different. But in any regards, come on, man.
I'm like, Trump was celebrity before he became president, so I'm pretty sure he was doing that stuff before.
Signing women's tank tops on their boob and stuff.
Probably did way more. One thing, she had that bird chest, so I'm like, to me, if you ain't got, I'm a C cup on up and some big C's, so it looked like he signed her back until I saw her face. I said, why does he sign this woman back?
She's flat chested.
I can't be flat.
You're being horrible.
She got in my face, Larry, can you sign my your chest back, girl? Go on somewhere, give me somebody with some. No, I ain't signing that.
He is such a womanizer, though. I've been just surprised that he does actions like that. I mean, they make a big deal out of Biden sniffing women's hair and shit. but I guess what would they say if all of a sudden Biden starts signing tank tops over the boobs? Oh, okay.
Bro, I'm tell you,
I just say there's two separate things here. Bro. We've talked about that. You're allowed to do it if you're this guy, and if you're that guy, no, that's just totally
double standard.
Wrong.
I'm just saying, bro. Everybody, man, I like I'm a breast guy, and I like pretty feet. So you'll catch me just looking at women's feet. Why you dumb? That's how I am. So
got a foot fetish and stuff.
Guys, Biden sniffing her. Some people's hair smell good. I'm like, it's nothing wrong with that. The female lets him do it, then it's okay. If he does against her will, then we got a problem. Same thing with women. They can't do us like that if we don't let them. If they do, they should be held accountable. Same thing with women. Men don't play the victim. Women should stop playing the victim when they allow something to happen.
I thought it was all kind of staged up to begin with because she was just in the position there, and then all of a sudden he taps her on the shoulder. She turns around, he signs her top. So this sounds like the whole thing was staged up to begin with.
I know. I see what you're saying. Just to say that he's not such a bad guy or whatever.
Yeah, what a great guy.
I want to tell you, Trump plays how can I say, he plays chess mostly.
Oh,
ain't nothing wrong with that.
He was in Gun Shop the other day. It was funny. So now he's on the side of the guns. They had, what was you doing in this gun shop? Oh, I was interested in buying a gun. You don't need a damn gun. You've got how many people around you with all kinds of fully automatic weapons. The last thing you need is a freaking
Trying to
gun.
feel like he's a regular person. Whenever I look at me, I'm a regular guy. That crap. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, man, one thing that we was discussing the other day, and we was talking about Ukraine, and part of it, the interesting thing about Ukraine is the value of their farmland.
Ooh.
And they have some of the richest farmland, the soil, yes, some of the best producing farmland in the European continent. So there's a lot of value to that. Let's get into this video just for a second because, yeah.
Oh, this is a baby corn.
On the agricultural map of Ukraine, David Sweary and his Kyiv Atlantic Farms organization are major players. Those pushpins represent farms he operates on land lease or farms where he has processing or distribution agreements. For him, 2008 has been a big year.
Today we had a good day. We had $1,008,997 of receipts today in Kyiv Atlantic.
A perfect balance of sunshine and rainfall has the fabled Black Earth Belt of Ukraine, long known as the breadbasket of Europe, bursting with marketable products.
Man, that's right. That's probably more important than gold.
That's right. Oh, well, yeah. Think about it.
Because you can't grow food. You got to eat. I don't care what you do. You got to eat.
Well, that made me start to think, and especially when you seen that, okay, there's some U.S. investors there, right? Obviously. When they were talking about they're leasing the land and they get distribution rights for the product.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's now, that starts to enlighten you a little bit, what else is the U.S. interest besides, that
the war in Ukraine.
Right. The war in Ukraine, the Black Sea, and access going up, to other parts of the northern continent there.
Well, we all know, though. We all know it's got to be something that revolves around money. It's got to be something. But I never realized and knew how rich that land that land is beautiful because you can do so much agriculture and make so much money off their land. It's beautiful.
Oh,
I'm like, look at all those push pins they had. Wasn't that incredible?
All the farms that they had either lease or distribution rights still. Yeah. And
that land, think about this too, Tim. If you look at the map looks small looking at it, but if you actually look at it in real life, that is humongous amount of area.
Oh,
of the acreage.
Yeah, billions of acreage.
Oh my God, bro.
Yeah, so that's worth a ton of money.
People, why the war is going on? They could that's because didn't he ask the Chinese leader for some food assistance or something like that?
Oh, Putin was asking the Chinese leader for weapons.
I could have sworn he said he needed to kick back on some food too, or something like that. Just weapons only.
I think it was tit for tat. He was going to supply them with grain and food, and they was going to supply him with weapons.
Okay.
So then again, there we go back into how you going to do that. Well, now I got a rich farmland here. I'm trying to take away from these people. Sounds familiar, right? I mean, think about it. We did the same thing. When you look at what would happen if you took over Iowa, Nebraska, Indiana, Ohio. Let's go across the farm belt.
Yeah, you have control of all the food.
And Canada decides to come down and take care of all that. Now what you got to do? Why? Because it's rich land, it's a food source, and we need to feed our people. And besides that, you guys are Nazis.
Yeah, feed our people, and we need to make money.
Interesting.
That's crazy, but it makes sense.
Yep, some more food for thought. Like I said, hey, we're here to inform, not to influence. So I'm thinking that has a lot to do with it. When you start talking rich farmland, I mean, look what we did. Again, let's roll back to the indigenous Indians. Wow, look at how great this land is. Now we should take it over and get these guys out of here.
Yep, because we don't want to split our money with them. Get them out of here.
Unbelievable.
Eliminate the competition. That's how it always works.
Or eliminate the competition. Or even better yet, Larry, what you really could do is eliminate the customers.
On March 3rd, 2021, Anthony Ramos picked up his pregnant wife and 6-year-old daughter from IAH. They drove to a Jack in the Box right near that airport. Watch as Ramos pulls up to that drive-through window. He's then greeted by Alania Ford. And once his food was handed over, an order of curly fries were missing from the bag. When he asked for them, he was told no. That's when the argument started. You can see Ramos in his red pickup truck going back and forth with Ford. She walks away, comes back, and the argument continues. This went on for roughly 9 minutes before things escalated. Watch this. As Ford walks away from the window a second time, she pulls out a gun from her pocket, checks it, and then puts it back. Another employee approaches the window to try and resolve the situation. But in the midst of that, Ford comes back and starts arguing with Ramos yet again. This time, things are more heated. Eventually, she starts throwing ketchup packets into his truck window. So he started throwing things back. The other employee closes the drive-through window and locks it. But then Ford comes back yet again, unlocks the window, points her gun directly at Ramos, and starts shooting as he speeds away. Luckily, none of those bullets struck Ramos's vehicle and no one was injured. Ford was charged and convicted of deadly conduct, and recent documents show her probation ended in June of 2023.
Here's how you treat your customers.
Man, why they want to get that man this curly fry? I'm like, come on, black people do love curly fries, but not enough to shoot you over that. Get that man his curly fries, man.
How can something so simple elevate to that?
Well, I can understand. One thing, she works at Jack in the Box, probably the late shift. That sucks.
That probably pissed her off. Okay, there's number one. She's working the midnight shift at Jack in the Crack.
Okay, but I'm like, it's curly fries. But even Jack in the Box curly fries are nothing to fight over.
Okay, well, there's -1, so we're still +1, -1. We can't figure out why she did it yet.
Algebra, yeah, my algebra skills are they suck pretty much, but it's just a bad. Then she curly fries, bro.
You imagine?
I'm like, there's nothing big enough that you can make me really act the fool like that at a fast food restaurant. You know, I'm like, now I say this: if you just don't give my money back, then we got a problem. But no, I don't know, man. Maybe we can't say no. I don't know. We can talk about it, but. Maybe he
Have you gotten an order where, okay, let's say, for instance, you get a burger, you don't want pickles on your burger, you get your burger, there's pickles on it. Pickles and mustard. I hate both of them. And you take it back and they say, no, that's your burger. But I didn't want pickles. I didn't want mustard. Nope, sorry.
Get my money back. It's going to make you keep the burger.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand the guy's complaint. What's curly fries are going to cost you, what, $1 to $2?
I think people just so frustrated right now, and they just don't think rationally. I'm like, I don't know, man, because people, they say the world is crazy. The world's always been crazy. I think people just don't use their proper judgment now. And then she has a gun, really.
But I have went through a drive-through and I have gotten shorted on something like fries, and I'm saying, hey, I didn't get my fries. I ran there and I'm like opening the bag. Look in the bag. There's no frickin' fries in the bag, and I have my fries. Okay, fine.
Like, it's fries, man.
It's fries, man. Chill out, right?
What I was trying to give me an extra pack of fries, that one pack of fries is not going to mess up your inventory. That's not going to cause the McDonald's to go on the ground, the Jack in the Box to go on the ground. I'm like,
you throw out more than that.
Tim, they throw half more. They throw half over the way. Over half that stuff get thrown in the trash anyway. I'm like, come on, man, some curly fries over there.
Give it a break.
Had to be a sister.
Hey, you know what? As we're always here, Larry, to help people out. That's one of our jobs.
That's one of our jobs.
That's one of our jobs, to help people out and to inform them. Here's a new scam going around, and we want you to know about it. Make sure you don't get caught up in this one.
With gas prices soaring, some are stooping to new lows to save a buck. Watch as these two drivers pull up to a fuel station at the Arco on Watt Avenue and Blackfoot Way on Sunday. The men quickly swap the nozzles and one drives away, waiting for unsuspecting customers to pull up. Manager Bobby Joel sharing it to spread awareness.
It was real quick, only took a second. But you can see now, if you look at it, the hose comes across the pump instead of on the side itself.
He says when the victims pulled up and started pumping gas, the suspect started his meter too, counting on the victims not to notice they were paying for his gas. It's the first time in his career he's seen this. Customers were also left shocked.
Crazy, just mad times we're living in, you know. If someone didn't even think about doing that.
But this unlikely trick isn't brand new. In 2019, Roseville police arrested a man for pulling off the same scheme at least a dozen times. Police say take a moment to verify the hose is connected to the correct pump.
A simple way Bobby says people can protect themselves is you start your pump, stop it real quick. If your meter stops too, then you can proceed.
You'll see if this doesn't stop, you know something's up.
He says the gas station refunded the customers and reported the theft to its corporate offices and to the sheriff's office. But he wants to warn others.
I know people going through hard times, but everybody is, so don't cheat your neighbor.
Jacked up, man.
You believe that?
Up. Wouldn't it be jacked up if you just like, I got an old 2000 Ford Expedition, and if I fill it up, it costs about $60 to fill it up. It'll be jacked up if I think I filled it up and drive off, and I'm like, wait a minute, my truck's still on E.
Somebody swapped a pump. You're like, wait a minute.
But if you think about it, though, man, if you get to a pump, all you gotta do is look and see it coming from the pump from your section.
The other thing they was talking about is the Mr. Nice Guy. Like Larry coming up and there's a woman, you know, finishing her gas, and here, I'll put the pump up for you. And they don't really shut it off. And then when she pulls off, then the other guy pulls up.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to be totally.
So you got
to
be aware.
Like that.
Be aware of what's going on out there. I got one. What tripped me out one time is I was looking through my bank statement. And I'm looking at this bill out of a gas station somewhere like in Pennsylvania or some bullshit. It's like $300 in gas.
Damn.
You know, I call up the card and I'm like, wait, what the hell is this $300 charge in gas at XYZ gas station? Well, it was purchased on. I'm like, listen, I drive this particular kind of car. How in the hell am I ever going to burn up $300 worth of gas?
So what happened?
Well, they ended up, that makes sense. I said, well, no shit, it makes sense. That wasn't me. I don't know what happened, but you're taking that off my bill. They did take it off my bill. But yeah, obviously somebody had gotten hold of my card somehow, some way. That's why I never use my card in the pump.
Yeah, they got me like that one time.
They got me. So now I go inside. If I'm going to use my card, I go inside and pay. I'm never using that thing at the pump, that swiper.
Yeah, they got me once. I know once. Yeah, they got me for about $40, $50. And I remember what pump. I remember the same day they got me. I'm like, this is, yeah.
Yep, I know when they got me too, and it was after I used a gas pump. And these people, they put that shit in there, read your card, and then you're done.
Forget about it. Yeah. Stealing gas is.
Hey, it's a profitable business. Profitable business. There's lots of money to be made.
I'm like, back in the day, they'll put the thing and siphon out your pump and stick it in the can. So it is what it is. You know, you got to survive and stay diligent when you're doing, taking care of your business. Stay diligent. Watch out.
Well, and a lot of things we talk about that. Even whatever neighborhood you're particular in, even if you're in church and or the grocery store, be aware of your surroundings and what the hell's going on.
They're out there.
They're out there. Well, hey, let's move on because this is Larry's most favorite part, but our asshole of the week. And let's see just who that might be.
You're a liar. You are letting this go on, and the numbers prove it.
Marjorie Taylor Greene was silenced at a hearing by a member of her own party. Greene blamed the Department of Homeland Security Secretary for U.S. fentanyl deaths.
How many more people do we have to watch die every single day in America? How long are you going to let this go on?
Congresswoman, let me assure you that we're not letting it go on. We are fighting this.
No, I reclaim my time. You're a liar.
We can disagree. You don't have to call a witness a liar.
The rules state you can't impugn someone's character. Identifying or calling someone a liar is unacceptable in this committee. And I make the ruling that we strike those words. When we strike, it does terminate the time of the individual who is speaking. So the gentlelady is no longer recognized.
Greene left the hearing shortly after that moment.
That's what I said. She is. That
Hey,
whole.
what kills me? You know what kills me about people with that? I'm like, they're like, how can you let this go on? I'm like, honestly, if you want to stop people from selling drugs, you got to stop people from using drugs. It's the user you need to target, not the seller.
Do
You
they
got to
still
target
do
the
that?
user.
Do they still do DARE in school?
What about this is your egg? This is your brain on. Remember the egg thing when they open the
Oh
egg?
yeah, this is egg. This is your brain on drugs.
I'm
Man,
just
what
saying, you
happened
got
to some of those advertisements? You don't see that anti-drug advertisement as you used
yeah,
to.
it's like they always trying to target the seller. They trying to target the people
Instead
that's
of the user.
allegedly letting it in, but they never target the user. The user is the person you got to target. Call the user a liar. Don't call him a liar. He making money off of it.
Yeah,
Okay,
if you think about it, if you don't have a customer, you have no business.
period. It's all about supply and demand. If there's no demand, there will not be a supply. Period. If no one needed a car and they decide to ride bicycles and motorcycles and walk to work, you will not have automobiles being made by the masses. I'm like, you did. That's how it goes. Supply and demand.
And I think it was the education I grew up with, because I mean, we all growing up, you have the opportunities. Here's some alcohol. Here's some marijuana. Here's some barbiturates. Here's some cocaine. Here's some heroin, and it's all available to us. Let's keep it real. You come across it when you're growing up, and I think it's your education that sits there and says, well, that particular avenue of recreation may not be the best because it can become highly addictive. It's easy to die, or I'm not really sure where in the hell it even came from, right?
Right.
And that's what I did a lot, based my decisions on growing up. Here, try this. It's like, nah. I've heard too many bad about it. I'd rather not. Go on ahead.
Yeah, I've never had anyone even a weed thing. I think I did that 10 times, but I did it because I just tried it myself. If anybody told me to try this, I'm like, nah. But if someone's doing something, I said, let me try that. I've never had anybody because they knew I didn't get down like that. But like I said, I tried smoking weed.
I remember, first time seeing a heroin user, and I was young, but the guy was all in some type of frickin' zone. I'm like, what's up with that dude? And, he's on some smack, and I'm like, I think I'd rather stay away from that shit, right?
I heard about function, but they say they got functioning alcoholics and functioning crackheads and functioning whatever.
Yeah, but just when you see them all in your little
yeah, but when everybody responds differently, so that's why my like I know if I couldn't do that stuff because psychologically it'll just wipe me out, So and like I said, I even tried to smoke weed the mid, not the new stuff when I was younger. I couldn't even handle that. I'm like, well, no.
But what's interesting? Okay, let's go back to that Freedom Caucus, part of the Village Idiot Caucus. Out there saying you're a liar. Listen, we've had a drug problem for how many years?
Okay. I think it started,
back in the 50s, all right?
Yep.
Okay, and even before that. So, to sit there and, point the finger at one individual and saying, you're a liar, how can you let that happen? Why don't you talk to the hundreds and hundreds of people that were involved in this same situation in positions before me and or the avenue to at least do something about it that didn't do shit? Why is it all on me?
Right. It's crazy to think that one person.
You got to roll too.
Yeah. No. Not one individual or agency can police up a nation, and millions of people that do drugs. It's just too many.
Never going to happen. I agree with what you're probably saying. Start working on the user. Forget the distributor.
Yeah.
Start working on the users.
If you eliminate the demand, you will not have a supply. Period.
There you go.
It has to be a demand to have a supply. That's business 101.
Speaking of business, let's get into Larry's business, which is telling people how to stay fit. LRE.
Hey, check me out. LRE Fitness Solutions, IG or Facebook at LRE Fitness Solutions will keep you moving, or Estelle Junior Larry. Tip on weight loss. If you're dealing with weight loss, it's a simple formula with that. Make sure you focus on doing cardio, 30 minutes up to an hour per day cardio wise, and then make sure you add in weightlifting. Now, weightlifting is very simple when it comes to losing weight because you don't lift heavy weights. You do high reps and you do real light weights and less rest periods. So your rest period can usually be between 30 seconds and a minute per exercise within that set. So it's best to start off with cardio prior to lifting weights with high reps and less weight, and do about 4 sets of 15 to 20, 3 different exercises per muscle group. After you do the cardio, you can do 30 minutes of cardio, and I guarantee you your weight loss will be very, very easy. And do that about 5 days out the week. Some days do more cardio and go heavier on cardio, and then you can take those other days and do a little weightlifting, and you lose weight so easy, and it's so simple. Check me out on Instagram, the IG, Facebook, LRE Fitness Solutions. We keep you moving. And Estelle Junior Larry. Holler at me if you got any questions. Inbox me.
Inbox the man. Oh, yeah, man. We had a really good show today. I'm glad. I think we covered all kinds of different things, and from the shutdown of the government, maybe we need to get some more people in there. The Menendez, who's, taking bribes, obviously. They got to prove it yet. Come on. It doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, pick your poison. That's the old debate between, what's going to be coming up in this future election for our next president. It's probably going to be between, Biden and Trump, as I said. Pick your poison. We're going to let you know both sides of the story. It's not that either one's any better than the other, but let your conscience be your guide. I really believe it's time for a change in the United States, and we need to, we've talked about term limits and some other things, getting some fresh blood in there. Maybe people who aren't so comfortable in their position that they're going to think it's okay, to kind of skirt the side of the law to where I shouldn't be taking these influential bribes, to get things done. And people make the choice. Like I said, pick your poison. And what really important is secure your children's future. You've got children, you've got grandchildren, and think about the country that you're going to leave them. Think of the legacy that you're going to leave behind for them. And part of your legacy should be, I want to make a positive change, and I want to make this world a better place for my family. I'm done preaching.
Nicely said, man.
Hey, people, we're living in a very turbulent world, rather. I say on our other show that our prayers go out from sea to shining sea, coast to coast, because it doesn't matter where you're living. There's some BS going on.
Yep.
So have faith. Just remember there's somebody up above that's always looking out for you. Larry and I, we're just trying to inform you, keep you on the right track. But anyhow, hey, let's get out of here, Larry, and tell these people, until next week, people, we'll see you. Bye.